Hey guys, thanks for visiting the channel. If you like the content and want to see more, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell or whatever that stuff that everybody in their videos tells you to do. Today I wanted to give an overview as to my thought process in buying an electric vehicle and why I ultimately decided on the Mustang Mach-E. We'll go through some of the other vehicles in which I looked at and my purchasing criteria. So first things first, I don't drive premium vehicles typically. I don't drive the BMWs, the Lexuses, the high dollar value cars. That's just not of interest to me. But I am typically an early adopter of technology, and I've been following Tesla and the EV development for many years, and pretty much knew that my next vehicle was going to be an electric. When Tesla came to market with the Model 3, I was pretty impressed with that, but wanted the SUV. So when they came with the Model Y, while I didn't love the style of it, I was pretty sure that that was going to be the route that I was going to go. The reason why I decided to go EV now was my previous vehicle was a 2014 Jeep Cherokee. It was coming up on 120,000 miles. It had some repairs that I needed to do and wasn't running optimally. Definitely not dying on me in any stretch of the imagination, but I just felt it was time to move on and take the next step. So started looking at what was available for EVs. I felt like now was the time to do it due to the current chip shortage and low demand or low supply for used vehicles. My Jeep was valued much higher today, or when I traded it in, than it was even months prior. So I was able to trade that vehicle in for nearly twice the value that it was, say, 6 months ago when I looked up the trade-in value. While I do work from home and do not put a ton of miles on my car anymore, the soaring gas prices were definitely something of concern, both between there being a shortage of gasoline, which was driving up the cost. Just didn't really want to deal with gasoline any longer. Figure if I'm going to invest in a vehicle that I'm going to have for many years going into the future, I would go with an electric vehicle that provides some of the features and benefits that I'll hopefully touch on in this video, and no longer contributing to the pollution of the planet with a gasoline car. So along that same vein of investing in an EV for environmental reasons, I do have solar panels on my roof. I've got an 18 panel system that provides electricity back to the grid. So I did have some purchasing criteria when choosing a vehicle. The first purchase criteria was that it needed to be an electric vehicle that was built from the ground up. I did not want a car that had an internal combustion engine or an ICE engine alternative or equivalent. I wanted an EV platform. So in choosing a vehicle that is based on an EV platform only and not an ICE equivalent, there are really 5 options. The first one being Tesla. Obviously, that's all they make is electric cars. Ford with their new Mach-E and the platform that they built that on. The ID.4 from Volkswagen. Volvo, I'll give them a half point because their XC40 Recharge and their Polestar 2 is an EV platform that can also be used for the regular XC40 vehicle. And then finally, the last vehicle for consideration that met my needs would have been the Chevy Bolt EUV. The premium brands are automatically disqualified. They're outside my price range, not something that I would even consider. And that was the Porsche Taycan and the Audi e-tron. There are other EVs out there that may meet your needs, so definitely feel free to look at them. There's the Hyundai Kona EV, the Hyundai Nero EV. Mini Cooper's got themselves a little EV. Again, I didn't want a vehicle that had an ICE equivalent in its portfolio. The next criteria for me in choosing a vehicle, and this goes whether it's EV or otherwise, is safety and the safety ratings. Tesla is very highly rated for their safety ratings. Volkswagen is world renowned for their safety ratings, and Ford also rated very high with the Mustang Mach-E. The final criteria that I have, must-have feature, was all-wheel drive. As I've noted in my other videos, I live up in New England, so we have a lot of snow in the winters, so I definitely wanted all-wheel drive. That in itself eliminated the Bolt EUV from my consideration, as well as played into some factor on the Volkswagen ID4 as well. While not a requirement for purchasing, uh, the vehicles like the Mustang Mach-E, the Volkswagen ID4, and a few others, having access to that federal tax credit is a huge incentive in my buying process. Tesla currently, with the existing tax credit laws, has oversold, exceeded their allotment for how many cars could be eligible for that. So hopefully, in the next revision of this bill that is passed through Congress, we will start to see companies like Tesla regain access to that tax credit, so that more people will adopt EVs. So with the purchasing criteria out of the way, the next couple points that I want to hit on here is, why did I choose an EV? The number one reason I chose an EV, and it being the Mustang Mach-E, is I really like this idea of little to no maintenance. No more popping the car up, climbing underneath, and changing the oil. There are less parts to break, less fluids in the vehicle, obviously no transmission. Hell, there's not even an air filter besides the cabin filter. The idea of charging at home, you may not be able to see it in the picture here, but I've got my Mustang Mach-E plugged in outside. To just leave your house every day with a full tank of gas, that's pretty cool. I know that charging is one of those hurdles that EV buyers need to overcome. In my opinion, if you've got a situation, whether it be a garage or access to an outlet, specifically a 220 volt outlet, if you do longer driving, home charging is going to be your primary way of doing it. Now, if you live in an apartment or condo or in the city where home charging becomes a bit of a pain, or just not even an option for you, I would say the public charging network, while it is growing and its reliability is growing, I don't think it's quite there yet, me personally. And if I were going to fully rely on public charging, I would heavily invest into a Tesla. Between their supercharger network, their destination chargers, they would have access to all the same chargers that I would have access to, with a simple adapter for their power plug. So take that into consideration. But again, no longer an issue for me because I can charge at home. Really, the last reason for choosing an EV, if you haven't driven a Tesla, or you haven't driven the Mustang Mach-E, or some of these other EVs that are out there, they're just fun to drive. That instant torque just throws you back in your seat. It's a very, very fun experience when you first get into an electric vehicle. In line with that performance, I took mine to the quarter-mile track just for shits and giggles. performed at a 14.2 second quarter mile, and I've never been to a quarter mile track in my life. I just thought that would be fun. I wouldn't have done that with a four-cylinder engine. Now that I've given you kind of my overview, my thought process as to why I wanted to get into an electric vehicle, I'll give you a little rundown as to how it is that I ended up going with the Mustang Mach. The first reason I chose this vehicle, and this one is completely objective, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but this style here, I love it. I love the body style, I love the lines, I love the back, the front. It's in my opinion the best looking EV on the road, but your taste may vary. I like things spicy, some people like things sweet, so I'm a big fan of this design here. And just to let people know, I am not a Mustang person. When it came to, and again, this is before my time, but the muscle car era, when my dad would take me to car shows as a kid, I was never that impressed with the Mustangs. The early models, they're beautiful. The 64s through kind of that early 70s, but really through that mid 70s, pretty much up till the 2000s. And I did not like any of the body styles. The current body style even starting to get a little bit out of my taste as well. I was more of a Mopar guy, the Challenger, the Charger, the Super B, things like that. When I was at car shows, that's what I would gravitate towards. So this is definitely not someone who is a Mustang fanboy, just buying a Mustang for its name. The Volkswagen ID4, again, good car. It was just overly kind of boring in design for me. Didn't really like the exterior, but I think that that's great for the EV market. If you want a car that doesn't necessarily stick out or grab a lot of attention, it just does what it needs to do, I think the Volkswagen ID4 would be a great option. I could definitely see my in-laws or someone older in my family maybe getting into an ID4. As for the Tesla Model Y, I think the Mustang is a good kind of mid spot between the ID4 and the Tesla Model Y when it comes to the interior. It's simplified but not oversimplified like a Tesla would be. And then a Model Y from the outside, from angles, in my opinion, looks weird. From the front or from the side, it looks a little like the nose is stubby. Again, I was pretty sure that unless some real competition came along, the Model Y was going to be my next vehicle. Now we'll touch on price a little bit. So where the Mustang falls in the price range for all the vehicles that I was up for consideration, it's right in the middle. The lowest cost one being the Chevy Bolt at just under $41,000. But again, they're no longer have access to the tax credit as well, so that definitely comes into consideration. But I had already eliminated that one just because it doesn't have all-wheel drive, and that is again part of my criteria. The second would be the Volkswagen ID4. If you factor in the tax credit, this one would actually be a lower cost option, even with all-wheel drive, which is soon to come. So with the all-wheel drive, that adds about a $4,000 option. So that puts that vehicle at about $44,000. So with that credit, you're down to about 36, which is great for a new vehicle, especially an EV. So what I did for price comparison was I took each model and tried to find the most equivalent models and features to the one that I purchased, which is the Mustang Mach-E Select with the comfort and technology package. There's obviously no one-for-one comparisons, but again, this was just for price comparison. The Mustang Mach-E that I purchased with the package that I have was $49,535, which was the sticker price. Paid only $100 less than that. These vehicles are still going for MSRP, Some dealerships are charging a premium. Don't pay the premium. Do not pay the premium. So factoring in the tax credit for the Mustang Mach-E, that would put me closer to $42,000 than it is the 49 that I paid. A Tesla Model Y with the only added option to be a similar color to the Mach-E at the time of recording was $52,990. I believe when I started looking, it was about a $500 or $1,000 less. They've continued to increase their price, probably because they're paying a premium in order to secure more chips. So they're passing that cost off to the market. And again, they are not eligible for the $7,500 tax credit. So the price you pay is the price you pay. The Volvo Recharge CX40 Recharge retails at 57,000-ish. And then with their eligibility in the tax credit, that obviously puts you down in that $49,000 range. Their Polestar version, which to me still sounds like a stripper, their Polestar version is overpriced in my opinion, with the list price of $62,400. Even with the tax credit, it's still the highest priced one on this list. And finally here, I'll give you a quick rundown as to why I chose this specific package. So again, it's the Mustang Mach-E, the Select with the Comfort and Technology package. So I sat down, really considered what I do for driving. Again, I work from home. I don't do a lot of road trips, couple here and there in the summer with the family. But other than that, it's mostly around town driving. So I didn't need a lot of range. So I had to get over that range anxiety, thinking I needed the highest range possible, when in fact, I don't believe that I do. And in fact, with the Mustang Mach-E, all-wheel drive Select, it's got an EPA rating of 211 miles. I'm seeing higher. I'm getting in that 220 range after driving it for a few months here. So your miles may vary depending on how often you drive, how much you're pushing it. But again, I'm over exceeding. And the other models like the ID4, they're only rated on their all-wheel drive right now. That was at 260. I suspect when the all-wheel drive comes out, that'll be slightly lower, probably in that 220, 240 range, but we'll see what they come out with when they finally come out. Now, if range is something you can't get over and you want the highest range, say you do a lot of daily driving, or you are going to be reliant on public charging. For one, if you're going to be relying on public charging, like I said earlier in the video, Tesla's got it beat hands down. Their supercharger network, their destination chargers, that is just second to none. And then the Model Y currently has an EPA rating of 326 miles, which is massive compared to the 211 that I have in this. Even the extended range battery that's available on the higher tiers only goes up to 270 with the all-wheel drive. So 326, again, you may not actually see that in the real world, but Tesla has been sending software updates to where users are getting closer to that EPA rating. As far as the Volvo and the Polestar, they're somewhere in that 230, 240 range as well. Very similar to what you see coming out of Volkswagen. The next reason I chose the Select package, once I decided that Mustang Mach-E was the vehicle for me, the reason I went with the Select model is it really met everything that I wanted. Between all-wheel drive, the Comfort and Technology package, which adds in some of the future co-pilot hardware that's coming, as well as the tailgate and some of the other things I mentioned in my earlier video. I didn't need the glass panoramic roof. It doesn't open, and in my opinion, it's not worth the extra weight and having the sun beating down into the car. So if I did decide that I wanted the extended range, say I was doing more driving or just couldn't get over that 211 estimate, I would have to go up to the premium package in order to get a vehicle with the extended range battery. Again, that extended range battery puts it at about a 270 EPA rating. It'll overperform that, but still, it's going to underperform that in the winter. With the premium, you get the glass roof, you get bigger wheels, you get a better sound system, different stitching on the seat, LED lights, and then the accents on the body around the wheel well and under the doors is actually a glossy black, which I actually like the matte black on the Select. Neither one of those is a deal breaker once I had my mindset on the Mustang Mach-E. To go up to that premium, again, that takes me from the 49,000 ish dollars that I stated before up over 56,000, which means the tax credit, the incentive would essentially have been a wash to go up to that next level. And for me, I didn't see the value in it personally. And again, once I decided I wanted the Mustang Mach-E, I was sold on this color. I wanted the what they call carbonized gray. It's currently not available right now when you order, for who knows what reasons, but it's currently not available. I really wanted that color, so I was pretty happy to find one of these at a lot nearby. Went to the dealer. It was exactly what I wanted. Ended up buying it. So again, the top reasons for me were price, availability, and then all of the reasons I gave before. So I hope this helped anyone who's just starting their buying journey and looking at electric vehicles as their next solution. Hopefully, if anybody needs any help or questions, feel free to comment down below. Trying to interact with people as they comment on these videos. So hopefully this helped, and whatever you guys decide, best of luck with it.